the life and death boxes, artifacts so important that Code spared no expense in hiding them. Hey guys, it's Jay, here with another Ordeal video. Today I wanted to explain and recap the events regarding the life and death boxes, with my goal being to clear up any lingering confusion regarding what they are and how they function. And I do apologize for a slightly confusing thumbnailing, but if you enjoy the video, leave a like and share with others. Without further ado, onto the vid. Let's understand what the boxes actually are and where they are located. Before we are given any full details, we are told that the boxes are indestructible and that no government was deemed worthy to possess them. Their indestructibility is why they had to be hidden, where they are located on Mount Jotun in Greenland, but the doorway to access them is only illuminated under specific, certain conditions, that being during a full solar eclipse. After the Battle of Mount Jotun, Tevin and Shay are required to be at a meeting, where soon after, Anton is revealed to have successfully acquired one of the boxes. In said meeting, Aldrich Ross tells everyone that the contents of the life and death boxes are the talents of May Hart and Thanatos Adamos, hence why they cannot be destroyed, as when they are, they only reform again. The Third Lord asks how Code gained possession of such talents. Aldrich Ross responds that it's not the talent, but more its specific power, as they cannot hold talent, but have instead perfected the technique of harnessing their abilities through drawing spinal fluid. He then explains that after the war, Kane's base was raided, and they found several vials of his spinal fluid, as they were attempting the process Code later developed. As for May Ross, over her years at Code, Adam Ross made sure her spinal fluid was stored in the event she was stolen from Code. Aldrich says his father thought having it would lessen the target on her back. It took Code years to perfect this technique, and they are only able to harness the power of a talent for one specific application. Once injected into the bloodstream, the talent's power activates. Now let's understand the functionality of the life and death boxes. The death box, when injected into a human, will activate and convert that person's body into the Thanatos vessel. Then there will be a 50-50 chance the body can be used as a conductor to summon the Thanatos talent, therefore resurrecting it. Aldrich says to think of it like the Thanatos talent is roaming the ether and is waiting for a body to be born strong enough to bear it before it returns. This is why Val's backup plan was to capture Shay, as his body is the former Thanatos vessel. Now, since May Hart had two abilities, the life box possesses them as well. If the serum is injected into a Kimyo, it will kill them, taking their talent in the process. But if injected into a human, it will create a Kimyo. Now the talent the newborn Kimyo would receive would be random, as that is how May's power worked. That being said, the talent would reflect the individual's heart. As an example, a kind-hearted farmer would gain a pure talent to aid his crops and others, but a psychotic individual would gain a talent that is more violent and destructive in nature. This is why the boxes must be used in tandem. Using life to grant a talent to the body of death will guarantee Thanatos' return. Inversely, if death is used first and the Thanatos talent returns, life can then take it away once more. Now let's understand how and when the serums were actually used. After it is found out that Anton was able to recover the life serum, a plan is made to take the serum to Trinidad, as the newly promoted Inspector Brennan believes the Titan tech they possess can destroy it. 24 hours after the Code meeting, we see Tevin, Shay, and a wounded Inspector Ian, with Ian being the one tasked to protect the box, saying that he is ready to die with it if destroying it grants them peace. Suddenly, Shay smells something and the group of Humvees is attacked immediately after, with Shay being completely prepared to face the oncoming threats, and those threats being the Gakis Berto and Ariel. Berto goes to throw his ring blade, but it is intercepted by the Fourth Lord Abijah. He then calls for Ariel to attack, and she uses her mask to shoot beams at everyone present. This also caused Inspector Ian to fall out of the Humvee he was in. Berto notes the box and asks Ariel to keep them there, but before anything can be done, smoke soldiers appear and destroy her mask. Ariel notes that this was supposed to be an ambush, but instead they were the ones ambushed. Abijah says their presence confirms that Code has a mole and that the Eighth Lord's delay was intentional, as a convoy would be presumed unsecured. Minamoto and Abijah then agree that they may have to use their full strength to face them, with Abijah telling everyone present that the Gaki are god-tier level Kimyos. As everyone prepares for the oncoming threat, Inspector Ian screams, "Enough of this, and if this is what they came for, they will have to rip it from his corpse," as he injects himself with a life serum. Minamoto says Ian won't survive the process, but he replies that that is what he's counting on, and if he wastes it and dies, there will be nothing left to shed blood over. And as the serum fully enters his system, a massive beam of light spawns from where Ian was. Then when we see him again, glowing legs are sprouting from where he was injured, and he is standing with golden veins pulsing through his body, as he now bears the title of Kimyo. When he takes a step, a massive armored leg steps next to him, with that leg being from Ian's new talent. Bearing witness to this sight, Mahalalel tells Shay to be very careful of what he does in his presence. He adds that it has been many centuries since he has laid eyes on his comrade, and says he is the Golden Lance Master of 70 legions, the exalted warrior, General Migdal El. Migdal L begins speaking to Inspector Ian and says, Ian Anthony Hoff, listen closely, mighty man of valor. Since the beginning of time, your father has predestined and chosen this moment. Every true cry he hears, and where there's a call from the heart, he answers. Your call has been heard, and I am sent to aid you. Now stretch forth your hand and claim my power. And as Inspector Ian reaches out, a light begins to form in his hand, with the helmet slowly forming over his head. Once finished, we see him with the same armor and lance as Migdal L, who also continues to speak, saying, Now thou mayest protect them. Whenever you raise your lance, our aim shall henceforth always be true, with the lance being pointed directly at Berto and Ariel. And as Migdal L throws the lance, we see a massive explosion where they were. Before we continue, I want to explain why Inspector Ian was the one securing the life box. In a brief flashback, at the end of the meeting, we see Aldrich Ross explaining to Shay his thought process. He says he was counting on Brandon to suggest taking the box to Trinidad to destroy it, as doing so will create the ideal scenario he desires. That being a scenario where the serum is forced to be used, as he would use it on someone he trusts, but he is bound by Code's law to either secure it or destroy it, adding that he cannot be found making personal decisions over an artifact, but he refuses to allow what is left of his sister, Shay's mother, to be destroyed when it can help them. Only the 8th Lord Haven was aware of this, and he also has an idea of who to place in charge of the artifact during the mission, but did not want to do so without first consulting Shay. Shay responds with Inspector Ian Anthony Hoff, and the chairman guesses that Shay has figured out his plan already, asking Shay if he is the one he's chosen to inherit his mother's will. He also says this will change his life forever, and that this plan risks the lives of everyone involved, banking on the prospect that Inspector Ian goes against his commands. He tells Shay that this may be a heavy decision and asks if he's confident in him. So when Shay is looking back towards Ian, you could akin this to a mental confirmation that their choice was correct, or that they made a proper guess. This is further backed up by Abijah's thought process while Ian undergoes his transformation, specifically saying, you place great power in the hands of a soldier handpicked, willing to lay his life down for the rest of us, the only obligation being it must be his choice. Also understanding that Aldrich Ross orchestrated these events to ensure what remains of his sister, May Ross, will be utilized for their good. Now, let's go over the use of the Death Serum. After Dr. Hanzo recalls Berto and Ariel and asks them what happened, Ariel explains that a human used the artifact and mentions that the talent that came from it was similar to that of the Great Four. Bayal says they will proceed as planned as Abel makes his way into the room. He asks the two where the box is and they explain that a human used it and show fear as they also say they will not fail him again, to which Abel shows a highly agitated look. Abel is then strapped to a table by Dr. Hanzo. He tells Abel that the procedure will be quick and that the serum will alter his body, making it a vessel fit for Thanatos' return, adding that it will be painful as he will endure breaking of the gene structure itself, as the greatest chemio body is birthed, also making sure to mention the fact that there's only a 50% chance the talent will return, and he asks Abel if he wishes to proceed. Abel asks Dr. Hanzo why he is still talking, tells him to do it. He then initiates the process. The effect starts immediately as we see Abel screaming in pain and shaking violently, with the hue of his skin slowly changing color. He is then engulfed in light that also fills the room with smoke, and when we next see his appearance, it is that of all Thanatos users. After, it is said that the snake Sybaris is dying, with Tado Meki saying the snake is tied to the talent and that the new vessel will need a new one, as we then see Abel use his energy to form 2 eggs, with one of them being Sybaris, symbolizing the resurrection of the Thanatos talent. So, to recap, the life and death boxes contain the spinal fluids of May, Hart, and Kane, which house not their talents but the abilities that come from them, with the life serum being able to grant a random talent to a human that reflects the individual's heart, or remove a talent from a chemio, killing them in the process, and the death serum being able to grant a human a body strong enough to house the Thanatos talent, with the talent having a 50-50 chance of re-emerging in said body. The life serum was used by Ian Anthony Hoff initially with the hopes of wasting the serum, but instead being granted the Migdal L talent, which may be equivalent in power to that of the Great Four, and the death serum being used on Abel Legasov, the last living descendant of Thanatos himself. And that's all you need to know about the life and death boxes. If you feel like I missed any important details or have any questions, leave them in the comments. And let me know what your unique talent would be if you used the life serum, or would you rather use the death serum and be a vessel for Thanatos?